Welcome back to The Line. We just heard from community members and developers in Albuquerque who are closely following the proposal to develop a piece of land called Santa Lena on the west side of Albuquerque. I'd like to get your take on this one, Tom, starting with you. Now, fundamentally, is this debate any different from past discussions like Mesa del Sol, SunCal, things we've been around the lap here a couple times? Do you see a fundamental difference in approach here in this project?
Well, yes, and we can't forget the original Atrisco land grant as well, of which this sits in the middle of.
That's right.
I mean, and by means of disclosure, we do have, my firm has interests in this particular case. My thoughts are my own.
I appreciate it.
With regards to, their approach, I think their approach is smart. They've been through 8 different commission meetings over the last year. So they've been going through the process. Obviously, it's going to come to a head at the end of March, and who knows what's going to happen there. But when we look at the overall approach, they haven't been grandiose. They haven't been waving their flag saying, "Here we are." At SunCal, as Senator Feldman and I were talking before, that was just a fiasco up in Santa Fe, and and that whole area just seems to be snake bit. So I think that it was really a good idea for them just to take the approach that they did as far as keeping low.
Harry, the approach seems steady enough, certainly, but the idea itself that we could build a self-contained community that ostensibly will hold 75,000 jobs, which, interesting hearing the former economic development director kind of question that number in that interview with Floyd. But it's very aggressive.
Right.
Are we supposed to really buy into all those numbers? It's quite a bit down the road. How are we supposed to feel about it?
It's quite a bit down the road, but it's really clear, given that the population of the state is flat at best to slightly declining or slightly increasing, where is the population going to come from? Where's the water going to come from? Given that we're going to be thinking about this and talking about it for the next 10, 20 years, I'm just really, really skeptical that a development so far away from everything else in Albuquerque, which is already a far-flung city, really makes any sort of sense.
Speaking of John Garcia, heard him mention that, we don't want to do a checkerboard in, kind of a way of developing that we've done in the past, way out on the west side that it fills in from there. Doesn't this feel like the same thing, though? It doesn't feel like it's hard to the community, like next to another neighborhood and just expanding the city.
That's right. I think it's deja vu all over again. And if you like the Rio Rancho City Hall being, 25 miles away from downtown, you're going to love this development. SunCal was exactly the same. It was, I think, a water guzzler, and I think that the estimates for how much water this is going to take are astounding. 90,000 people. I'm not sure that will really happen. And I don't think they are being so low-key. They're promising jobs, that once again, jobs are the holy grail here. And the idea that you have housing first and then jobs will materialize has been, shown to be false. You have to have the jobs first, the economic development first, and then, aside from the construction jobs, then the housing.
The real jobs,
otherwise,
jobs,
you're going to have a recipe for sprawl, for people buying houses they can't afford, and we've seen where that leads.
Julianne, traditionally, if you've got folks who can't afford to live in town, how are they, ostensibly to afford to live out of town? Because transportation costs go up in your life. It's not as if just parking yourself out there means everything's going to be groovy. You got to get back into the city.
Yeah, we've been hearing from folks who say, both young and old potential buyers in such a development are really not making the choice to move out to these, ticky-tacky, what I think has been called extra urban, development. And it's way out there. And I think too, to build a little bit on what Dee Dee said, is that we've seen this in Santa Fe. I'm sure they've seen this in every city in America, where developers who want to talk about things like new urbanism and walkability and sustainability, they build these subdivisions, they put a commercial core, commercial hub there in the middle, and they say there's going to be a grocery store and a coffee shop, and these things do not materialize. We've got at least a half a dozen developments I could name in Santa Fe that have commercial nodes that are largely vacant. The people that live there are still getting in their cars and driving to the city.
That's right.
And so that's a little bit of a misleading, I think, kind of slant that you get from the development.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Tom, let's assume something here. Let's assume they're correct. Let's assume there's 90,000 to 100,000 people there. Does that not change the balance of power or the beginning of the balance of power in our city somehow? Is it part of that continuing wave to the west that,
Well, the wave, it's funny that you mentioned wave to the west because that's the only wave that's left to go. You know, I mean, when I moved to Albuquerque in the early 1990s, you know, Albuquerque Acres was just a lot of dirt lots.
Right.
And all of a sudden the city grew to the north and as far as it could go until it hit Sandia Pueblo. There's not a whole lot, we can't go east, we can't go any further north. South is limited by the base. Mesa del Sol, which Ray Powell Jr., during his very first term as land commissioner, got that whole project going.
Yeah.
That wasn't this most recent term. That was like a decade ago.
That's right.
And so what is being proposed through Santolina, whether it makes it through or not, is really, it's more of that future progress. It's not going to be opening tomorrow.
Right.
If it was opening tomorrow, I think it would be a very different conversation.
Harry, you know, here's the other thing too. Let's assume again success. 100,000 people, 90,000 people, that kind of a thing. More representation in government.
Right.
There's more representation in the legislature. There's,
Right.
there's things that happen when you have
Right.
100,000 folks needs to be served
Right.
politically, socially, culturally.
Right.
It's not just like a bubble, like a dome of a meal.
Right, and it may well change the politics of the city and the politics of the West Side. As Tom pointed out, there is a lot of movement. There has been a lot of movement in the West. I live in Rio Rancho, and downtown Rio Rancho is 15 miles away from my house. So if it works, I think it works in terms of actually coming to a pass. I think it would change the gravity of politics in the city. But it just really, it feels like wishful thinking. It's like build it and they will come.
Right.
And I'm just very, very skeptical, given that there are all sorts of other possibilities for infill in the city
right.
that
That's right.
probably make more sense and are more actionable.
And I have a question,
Yeah.
Senator, on that very point that Harry Van Buren just made. Is this a time or an opportunity to talk seriously about, once again, city-county unification? Do we not have a cohesive county-wide plan to move forward versus Albuquerque doing its thing, the county doing its thing, and suddenly it's just sort of spreading all over? It doesn't get anywhere, county-city unification, don't get me wrong, but I'm wondering your thoughts on this.
Well, this is the county planning board that approved this. It's not the city planning
Correct.
board that approved this. And there is this natural tension between infill opportunities and opportunities out on the fringes. And yeah, we do need, I think, a joint planning process. I think the voters have rejected joining the city and county many times, mostly because the county voters didn't want it. But I think, I think the real question here is about tax revenue. This is a plan, but it will commit the tax revenue of the city as well as the county, because this is involving gross receipts tax, property taxes that will not be paid in the future and will not be available for developing the city inside its boundaries. And that's, and because it involves a TID or a tax district. And we were lucky to turn that down in the legislature when it came to SunCal, and we saved about $500 million for the people in this area.
That's incredible. Up next, we talk about the latest development in a debate over homelessness here in downtown Albuquerque.